find the best cryptocurrency investments, check out Token Metrics, use my affiliate link for a discount. Safety and security notice, please watch out for comments like this by scammers pretending to be me or other crypto YouTubers. Also, please follow me on bittube.video. You can also follow me on Odyssey. These are both censorship-resistant platforms, and every now and then I am going to post a video which isn't going to be on YouTube. Find me on these platforms. Okay, and then for the demand side, how do they use the token? They use the token to pay for the service?
So they use the token to pay for the service, and the token has very interesting payment properties like streaming payments and escrow payments and all that make it amazingly easy to use and very effective as a cloud computing token.
Right. So what are some of these properties? Like, how does it have escrow in it, and what are these other amazing payment properties that a token has?
So micropayments, for example. So the settlement happens every block, right? And you got to be able to pay exact amounts in a high throughput transaction mechanism. And then you have escrows, right? So you can fund a payment account that pays for the cloud compute. So anybody can fund the account in a permissionless way, where you can actually decouple the funding and the operational side of the key. So it's a lot more secure. I don't want to get too detailed into like how these payments work, but it makes you cannot do that with traditional other tokens, and it's specifically designed to work on Akash, right? And the token, beyond just payment, the token provides security to the blockchain. So as you know, Akash is a proof of stake system, like most Cosmos ecosystem tokens are. And for a proof of stake, the token adds security and adds consensus, right? So essentially, essentially what we're looking at is one vote for one token. So it's used to participate in governance, it's used to participate in consensus, and the security is only as strong as how many tokens that are staked. So right now Akash has about 84% staking ratio, one of the highest in the ecosystem, and that's just a testament that people want this people love the security that they get, and people are going to optimize for security.
Right. Okay.
So, and third property is it is used to bootstrap. So it does have certain subsidy mechanisms that we will be implementing in the future. Part of the inflation will be used to subsidize some of the cost. Right now, because supply is so much higher than demand, we don't need to subsidize. This is the natural market itself has subsidies built in. But we're also aware that this may not be the case in the future if the supply outstrips demand. In a case like that, we still want to keep the cost lower, so we're going to use some of the inflationary properties of the token to subsidize the cost.
Right. Okay. And then when was the project launched, and when did the token? Did you have an ICO? When was the token launched itself?
Yeah, we've been working on it for about 6 years, since 2015. It's a long story as to how we ended up with blockchain and how we ended up essentially with the design that we have right now. We launched the token in October last year, and we launched the platform, the token and the blockchain first to ensure that we have a stable launch for the platform. And we launched the platform about 4 months ago. And right now we're doing about 150 application deploys a day. And right now we have about 140 plus active applications. The way I define active applications versus regular applications is you have essentially two types of applications you can deploy on Akash. One type of application is something that'll just run a function, run a job for you, like if you're analyzing, I don't know, internet, or if you're crunching some numbers, you can run that for like a period of time, and you can like shut it out. We call them short-running jobs, and then we have long-running jobs like web servers and API servers, things that are there always, right? So you can access them whenever you want. So long-running jobs obviously give us a recurring payment, so they're very attractive than short-running jobs. So long-running jobs, you have about close to about 150 applications running right now, and that number was about 100 long-running jobs a day about 10 days ago. So it's growing really fast.
Okay, and in terms of the amount of capacity that you've got available, how much is that growing? I'm thinking gigabytes and terabytes and those things.
Yeah, so there is, I don't know how much I'm allowed to say this, but the capacity is actually growing a lot more than we anticipated, a lot faster than we anticipated. Soon we're going to have, right now we have about 70% fill rate, I would say, right? So 70% of capacity is used. But I think tomorrow or day after, we're going to add I think double or triple that capacity what we have. We're always cognizant of the fill rate because, if you're a provider, you come there. If you have 100 apples, you come to a market. We want to make sure you leave with an empty basket, right? That's how we determine success of a marketplace. It's not how much you sold and how the cost you sold for. That's up to you and the buyer. Or the service for us is the empty basket, right? We want to make sure. So we don't encourage folks to overfill the capacity. Then you end up offering them with low cost, but rather just fill in when you see a 70% or 80% sort of fill rate. So try to keep the fill rate above 50%.
Okay. All right. Well,
sorry if I go too technical into
no. Don't
economics
worry.
of economics of compute capacity. Like
if I don't understand,
optimal.
I'll dig into it, right? Because for those watching, I did warn Greg that I'm not technical myself, right? I don't have a financial or computing background. So let me try and understand, see if I got the token economy, right? How it works. So as somebody who wants to run a web application, I need the AKT token to pay for the service. So then I go to an exchange or the osmosis debt, having got CRO or Atom from somewhere else, which are very liquid, convert it to AKT, and then send it to you, set up the payment, and then I'm getting the service. The Akash Network has now got this token, which you're using to pay to the data servers, the data providers, sorry. So they're earning the tokens, and then they're staking. They could be staking the tokens as well. And then you've got other people, retail investors, people into crypto or whatever, who are buying AKT, and then they're staking it and they're providing liquidity. That's pretty much it, right? So, and then if the demand side, they need to go to the market again to get more, as more and more people use the service that you provide. Is there any element we haven't covered or I've missed out there?
That's at a very high level. Yeah, absolutely. The tokens, the demand for the token comes from the demand for utility, which is right now paying for cloud compute and staking.
Okay. All right.
And LPs, I suppose. Yeah.
And then what's coming up in terms of future development or roadmap? I know there's the Galaxy Dex opening soon.
Gravity. Yeah.
Sorry, Gravity. Thank you. I was thinking of Cosmos and Galaxy and stuff. It's actually Gravity, which is kind of connected anyway. So what have you got on the roadmap and that you can let us know about, and also general, perhaps more vague plans for the future?
Absolutely. So, lots of exciting things happening with the IBC, right? We have Gravity Dex that's coming. I think we'll have Terra that's coming as well. And we have Terra will effectively give us the first stablecoin pair on the DEX. So Akash right now is only Atom pair and Osmosis pair, right? And what's exciting is we also have new platforms like Althea and Agoric. They're coming. I don't know how familiar. They're amazing Cosmos ecosystem projects that are yet to launch. I'm very excited in both these projects. I'm also a private investor for full disclosure in Althea. Althea they're decentralizing internet access. So they're literally putting gigantic dishes in people's homes that leverage their existing internet, and you can share the internet across a distance. They're like helium, but with big dishes to give you a better idea. What I like about them is they're not waiting to launch a token. They're actually right now deploying hundreds of these dishes all over. Now they're doing a lot in the continental US, in hard to reach places like rural areas. They're deploying all over Africa. They're deploying in places where internet is very hard to get, right? And they're solving real world problems, and they're using a Cosmos SDK to create this decentralized network. And what's beautiful is and they're also rolling out 5G, by the way, before AT&T or any of these guys are going to. And the cool thing about them is their pricing is variable instead of fixed pricing. So today you pay standard Comcast bill, you're good to go, right? You have no idea if you use them, you lose them, you don't. It's a flat fee, which is okay. But if you want to do something more advanced, like really transfer humongous file, much faster, right? You don't have that option. So Althea is doing dynamic pricing, and part of the dynamic pricing, a challenge with dynamic pricing is. Pricing is you pay the telcos or the dish providers one part, but you also got to pay the cloud computing providers for routing your packets. So the telcos tend to deploy their 5G cores in these cloud providers, and LTE is going to be using Akash instead of the traditional cloud providers. And the cost, Akash does on-demand pricing, so they can actually pass the same exact cost back to the user. Right, and much cheaper manner. It's going to cost you 1/3 or probably even less to run on Akash. So you're ultimately going to get cheaper internet because of LTE and Akash. And these are the kind of projects that I'm really excited about, because these use cases are not possible in the cloud today, right? So, and I'm very excited. And Agoric is phenomenal. I think it's one of those underrated projects. Not too many people know about them. It's founded by Dean Tribble and Mark Miller. These people are OG. Do you know who Nick Szabo is? Nick Szabo invented smart contracts. Nick used to work for Dean Tribble. So back in the day, in the 90s. So these people created smart contracts, and they are designing a smart contract platform for Cosmos. It's called Agoric. And a big use case for us is Akash doesn't have smart contracts. We're not a smart contract system. But you can leverage these smart contracts on Agoric and create all kinds of new things on top of Akash. And one of the examples people are going to create, or we're looking forward to, is multi-currency settlement. Right. So right now, Akash can only use AKT tokens, but we want to be able to use US dollars like UST or Cosmos or DVPN, is, as a matter of fact. Right. I have an amazing use case using Agoric and DVPN in that element. So like, it'll be cool to run a DVPN node on Akash and pay using DVPN tokens. So you have a fully self-sustaining ecosystem, that is paying for compute, and you don't have to go give your credit card name and your address to some Amazon or somebody to run a DVPN node. You want to remain anonymous, and you want to be able to, not do any exchange, but rather just use your DVPN tokens that you gain to pay for the cloud computing service. So that's the ultimate sort of like interoperable future that I envision. And Agoric is going to enable that using their smart contracts platform. So I'm very excited for these partnerships we have in play. These are yet to be launched tokens, and when they're going to launch, I'm very excited about them. Again, not financial advice. These are some things I'm excited about. And from a platform, we just touched the surface with Akash. So the way it works right now, it's a very bare bone, run anything on the cloud kind of platform. You can pretty much run any container that runs on Amazon on Akash, right? So it has full functionality, but it does not have managed services. Like, for example, if you want to run a database, you got to run by yourself. And databases are not the easiest thing to manage, right? So Amazon provides these managed services at a premium. That's where they make most of their money from. And Akash is going to come up with managed services, but we're going to do that in a decentralized way, like we've done with compute. It's a very hard problem to solve, but that's a problem we are working towards, and it's going to take a while. But when that comes, Amazon has about 250 managed services, but Akash will have a lot more than that because it's a decentralized permissionless marketplace, right? And a big feature that's upcoming is GPUs for us. GPUs are one of the most exciting things for me, because today the biggest cost for AI is GPUs. Like, Andreessen Horowitz even wrote an amazing article recently on looking at their portfolio companies and really bringing this GPU cost, which is about 20% off margins. So 20% off the money, either investment or revenue, these companies make, AI companies, goes to Amazon, which is a lot, right? Wow. And not like there's this enormous GPU. There are GPUs in your Macintosh that are not used, right? There's lots of GPUs out there. I mean, data centers themselves have enormous GPUs, and more importantly, you have Ethereum, which is proof of work is transitioning to proof of stake, and you have this entire GPU infrastructure that's going to be free. So a lot of GPUs around, but there's no way for these GPUs to hit the market. And it just confirmed yesterday, one of the researchers at that we're working very closely to sort of bring in the first few use cases for a GPU. For them, and a lot of our data research suggests that the biggest cost in GPU is like debugging, right? So you're trying to simulate a scenario that failed, like say you're developing a self-driving car, you have all this data, you collect about 100 gigabytes of data every minute or something. It's crazy. You want to be able to debug and replay the data. 90% of the cost is debugging. So I was like, well, it doesn't matter if the GPUs are across the world. He's like, it doesn't really matter because you're debugging. It's not real time, right? So just by enabling GPUs, it's going to solve so many problems for these companies that they're knocking on a door left and right. Even if you give them 20% or 30% cost advantage, it doesn't have to be 3 times, right? That's still a very attractive proposition considering you're spending 20% of your actual margin on GPUs. So we're very excited about this. That should be out in another 6 months or so if everything goes right. And turns out making a multi-tenancy marketplace for GPUs is not the easiest thing. And we're for running generic workloads, we're talking about running TensorFlow, right? TensorFlow is like a common machine learning application everybody runs. So if you can run TensorFlow on Akash, you can right now, but with the GPUs, I think that's going to be a holy grail. So we're super excited about it.
That's amazing. So there's a lot of development going on. So the future looks very, very bright. And there's something that you mentioned right at the beginning. You mentioned a couple of other Cosmos asset projects.
Mm-hmm.
And also you mentioned Sentinel and with their DVPN, and I'm connected to them. There seems to be some sort of environment with the different Cosmos-based projects.
Mm-hmm.
Dan at Exidio has told me about you and these all, and then I recently interviewed Tushar from XPRT, and Dan knows him and stuff. Maybe it's Dan from Exidio, but I also get a sense of somehow that there's and there's like a partnership or something, or I'm going to say in a very English term, Greg, chumminess. And I don't mean that disparagingly at all, right? It's all very chummy. How come, and how did that come to be?
So Cosmos is essentially a network of or ecosystem of blockchains that are independent and sovereign, right? That talk to each other. Unlike any other traditional crypto ecosystem where the predominant model is a shared security model. So Cosmos doesn't have shared security. So in order for you to launch a Cosmos token, you have to bootstrap security. You have to go out, recruit validators, and these validators become the foundation for the ecosystem, right? And that process is extraneous, right? It's not something just wake up and just throw a smart contract and you're good to go. So it takes reputable people to bootstrap a Cosmos chain. So that's why you end up having high quality projects on Cosmos, right?
Yeah.
So that heavy barrier of entry results in a high quality ecosystem. And another key important thing for Cosmos projects is, as a crypto founder or a project lead, you have to make a very important decision, and it sucks you have to make this decision early enough. And the decision is the trade-off between utility and liquidity, right? So most Ethereum ERC20 based projects optimize for liquidity first, right? Because you can't really use ERC20 for anything meaningful, right? Like DeFi, yes, because you're dealing with money and you just write off as slippage cost. But if you're doing like cloud computing, and if you want to pay like $30 to update your blog, or like $20 to connect to a VPN, it doesn't make any sense. So you have to optimize. So folks that are optimizing for utility will choose Cosmos, right? Because it's just low gas fee, and it has sovereignty. You have complete control as ecosystem on your on your gas fee. Whereas you don't get access to the Uniswaps and these DEXs that unless you're a ERC20 token that you get access to, right? So it's a very tough call. Like a big challenge for Akash getting listed in bigger exchanges that is essentially the time it takes to integrate, right? You're not an ERC20 token. So ERC20 tokens are much simpler and easier because it's a coin flip, it's a switch flip for them. But a native integration takes a long time, and these teams are very, very small by design, right? So a lot of it's going to happen, but it's going to take a much longer than a ERC20 pair, right? So and here we are in 2021. We were talking about these trade-offs, and talk to me probably in like next year. These trade-offs are no longer valid, but it is what it is, what we are. Right? So overall, I think it attracts very legit projects that have financing, pre-liquid financing. And what that means is they have established their reputation and launching with utility in mind, right? So that's why you attract high-quality projects. We all share the pain, all of us in this Cosmos ecosystem, and all of us have no other choice but except to work together to make this a success, right? So, like it or not, where chumminess comes from, the desire to actually prove that a sovereign model that can interoperate is the model for the future, and it's working out, right? So we all help each other out, and by in doing so, we succeed together.
Sure. No, I get it. Thank you for answering, because I couldn't figure it out, but it makes complete sense. And it also kind of reflects Cosmos's IBC. I forget what it stands for, but the ability for different blockchains to talk to each other. So you've got these different projects as human beings talking to each other. So Sentinel-1 and running nodes for other projects as validators, being validators. Is it Audit-1, which is
Audit-1.
Yeah, they're validators for Cosmos-based projects. So it happens at a human level, it happens at the validator level, and eventually when other blockchains get connected to the Cosmos ecosystem, then it will be happening there as well. And then
it's happening really fast as well. So it's not only Cosmos. I think we're seeing a similar pattern in DWeb, right? Yeah. So DWeb is not as fancy as DeFi or NFTs, right? At least doesn't have the hype because it has real utility. I'm not saying NFT doesn't have real utility, but in the sense, like from an infrastructure standpoint, it has a growing utility, right? So a lot of folks, like I said, use Handshake and Skynet along with Akash. They call it the SHA stack, the Skynet Handshake Akash stack, and they're interoperating, but not in the most frictionless way. You're still managing your keys not in an optimal way. You're still working together, right? But ideally a Saya can have a IBC zone, a Cosmos zone, or a Handshake can have an IBC zone. I think it's going to happen sooner than later, and they can interoperate now, accepting AKT tokens to pay for their services, right? So I think we're going to see Cosmos interoperability, or the IBC, or inter-blockchain communication, we call it, be adopted way beyond just Bob and Cosmos nodes, and it's designed to do that way, right? So once that happens, you're going to create a very powerful ecosystem that's built with utility at core and with a growing adoption around that utility, all intercommunicating in a frictionless way and in a low-cost gas model, and that future is very exciting for me.
Yes, and just to touch upon that before we finish up, the Cosmos, I can understand the reasons why you've given for why choosing Cosmos in terms of the way we work together. And of course, it's ridiculously cheap to send a transaction, and very, very fast. And I know from having I've done quite a few videos on osmosis.zone, it's beautifully designed, fabulous UI, right? And very, very fast transactions. And I've got an interview scheduled with Handshake, which I'm recording in the next couple of days or so. So I'm going to find out more about that. And I got connected to that via Sentinel, who connected me to someone who's building a hardware DVPN node for Sentinel. And they said, well, we're using Handshake. What's Handshake? So it goes, right. So they're all talking to each other. So thank you for that. I'm going to have all the links in the description below for people who want to find out about AKT. Go join the Telegram group, go check out the website, do your own due diligence. Is there anything else you want to say, Greg, that we haven't covered?
Absolutely. So we do have grants we'll be announcing very, very soon. I highly recommend people, if you have an idea, if you feel like censorship is something you want to fight, if you feel like you want to develop abstractions on top of Akash that make it easy for people to use Akash, and verticalize for individual use cases, if you feel like just simply hosting on Akash, talk to me. We have grants available to get you started. And we highly recommend, and the best way to really learn about Akash is to check out our documentation, docs.akash.network. It'd be great if you can link it in the show notes. And find me on the internet. I mean, I'm very, very available and highly responsive on Twitter. My Twitter handle is Greg Osuri, single word. And, I'm always here to help.
Greg, thank you so much. And just something I didn't say is my own stand with regards to censorship. So I actually, I think it's critical for a flourishing society, for progress, for people to be able to exchange ideas freely, without fear, without favor, so that we can all learn, rather than entrust to some sort of corporate ministry of truth. And I actually did a video that isn't on YouTube, it's on Odyssey, where I looked at the links between a couple of really, really large asset managers that own largest shareholders in some very, what's the word? They're talked about a lot, pharmaceutical companies, and how those same owners own significant shares in mainstream media. So you just essentially get one voice, right. One voice. Anybody who dissents from that narrative gets deplatformed. So I'm absolutely with you with regards to resisting censorship. And of course, I couldn't post that video on YouTube. Far too controversial for YouTube. All right.
Far too controversial for YouTube. And I think that's what we want to see people build. I mean, I think right now you have the technology that's prime, so developers can build censorship-resistant networks. Like, I think the future is going to highly demand that, right? If not, the demand is already here. And we need platforms like YouTube that's censorship-resistant. And yeah, highly encourage people to go build it, and we'll even fund them
yes,
if you want to.
Okay. Well, there's a whole range of privacy-focused and censorship-resistant projects that I cover, including BitTube and Sentinel. So you've got a decentralized VPN with Sentinel, which I think is also really, really important. So, Greg, thank you so much. Thank you so much for answering all my questions. Any last words?
No, I'm good. Just I think we're good. This was a wonderful interview.
Greg, thank you. If anybody's watching, again, go check it out. If you're a holder of AKT, let me know. Give me the ticker symbol for AKT in the comments. All your comments help me perform. I didn't tell you, Greg, I've had 160 videos deleted by YouTube.
Oh my God.
And I'm currently being shadow banned. Since June 9th, 2019, I've been shadow banned by YouTube. So please comment, subscribe, click the notification bell. I will continue to cover this project and other Cosmos-based projects. And between now and when I see you next, please keep filling your pockets with crypto profits. This is Crypto Rich and Crypto Greg signing out. All the best. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much.